Hey, there are so many things I've been wanting to say to you, and there's nowhere for you to run to, and no way for me to hide. Hey, there are so many things I've been wanting to say to you, and there's nowhere for you to run to, and no way for me to hide.
Welcome to the great unknown, unseen world. There's a storm coming. Who you following? No shortcuts, I take the long road. Footsteps in the dark, revelation shine bright. I'm an outlaw, fight back with music and light, but don't panic. Pick a side, choose wisely. Stay focused, connected, and healthy. Slow down, learn to control your energy. Stay away from the fire and grow gardens all around you for protection. We've been told every day's like this, full of truths and secrets, element of wickedness. While we here, remember that you're amazing, capable of becoming the world's greatest. I'm serious, answer your calling. Listen and accept this awakening.
Hey, there's so many things I've been wanting to say to you, and there's nowhere for you to run to, and no way for me to hide. Hey, there's so many things I've been wanting to say to you, and there's nowhere for you to run to, and no way for me to hide. No way to run,
Nowhere to run,
no way to hide.
nowhere to hide.
Me and you won't get away from the truth this time. No way to run,
Nowhere to run,
no way to hide.
nowhere to hide.
Me and you won't get away from the truth this time. Hey.
Thank you. That was the reminders. Welcome everybody to We Imagine Live. This is the end of year event for the Laboratory to Combat Human Trafficking here in Denver. We have a wonderful show lined up for you. And obviously in these times, shows look a little bit different. So we want to acknowledge that we had intended this to be an all live experience. But obviously the world changed and we changed with it. So we are bringing you artists and thinkers and poets and a collection of videos that can expand your mind around the themes of human trafficking, and also entertain you and challenge you. And it's going to be a really special night. My name is Nick Ross. I am a storyteller and video producer here in Denver. I was connected to LCHT through Craig Nason, who right now is the producer of this live stream. So if you want to shout out Craig, he's got a great producer again. There he is. He is connecting us to all the artists that we're going to visit with and all of the wonderful programming that we have in store for this evening. So I was connected to Craig. I was producing a storytelling show in Los Angeles, and it was all around the theme of survivorship. And so I reached out to Craig because I know he works with incredible survivors, and he connected me to a former employee of LCHT who had a lived experience with human trafficking, and she came and she shared her story, and me and everybody else on set was just blown away. And I think it expanded what this idea is. I think to me and a lot of people, it's something that happens to other people or in foreign countries, or you know, isn't quite on the forefront of what what it is and how expansive and nuanced and complex this issue is. And through my connection, I grew to just adore the work that they do. And I'm really proud to be here tonight with you and to help guide you through an evening with some just incredible performances. So it's also a fundraising night. Your donations tonight will help advance the growing movement through anti-trafficking training, community-based research, a statewide hotline that is sort of a hotline that is produced by LCHT. I say produced because I'm in this mindset. It's run by them, and the development of future human rights leaders. So to get some of the pipe out of the way, please give. If you want to give right now, you can give by texting the word live or live. This is a live event. Texting the word live to 41444, or look for the donation button at combathumantrafficking.org. And this live broadcast has a few sponsors. I'd like to highlight the Great American Print Shop, which is a full-service print shop in downtown Denver, Tree Ring, which is a digital marketing agency here in Denver, and Chaos Bloom Theater, which is a theater that's located on South Broadway that allowed us to shoot a lot of our performance artists in their space. So they are a wonderful improv and sketch theater. I actually teach classes and perform there when we're not in these COVID conditions. And shout out to all the first responders and everyone who's doing their best to make this time a little bit easier. So tonight, we have 4 Colorado artists with unique connections to social justice issues and social change movement. Their poems, songs, and paintings are meant to confront and challenge, but also inspire and motivate. This event is called We Imagine for a couple different reasons. For one, the obvious, we imagine a time beyond COVID and beyond the mounting hardships that it's presenting on all of our lives. But also we imagine a time beyond human trafficking and exploitation. And this year, the world kind of stopped, but human trafficking didn't. Across the country, many vulnerabilities that led to exploitation are more present than ever. That's why your support is critical. We just appreciate every donation. So again, you can text live to 41444, and that will we will check in with our donor wall. Craig, do you want to throw the donor wall up so we can see what we've raised? Wow, so we are already at $30,000. We have a goal of $100,000. If you donate through that text, your name will show up and you can see your name scroll through. We are just blown away by the support, and every support is critical. Before we introduce our first artist, we'd like to take a closer look at the injustice of human trafficking and consider what it takes to respond effectively with a short video.
My trafficker was my husband. There was no way I could reach out to anybody for help.
We're scared. We're scared to run. We're scared to tell anybody what's going on.
It was an incredibly violent situation. I felt like there was no way I could get out.
Human traffickers can be just about anyone from any walk of life. A lot of the trafficking involves domestic servitude, hoteliers, restaurant owners, owners of massage parlors, agricultural farm owners.
It can be a trafficker who tells a woman, I want to be your boyfriend, I love you, and if you love me, you're going to go out and have sex for money. It can be kind of psychological like that, or it can be more overt and more physical. It can be hitting, abusing, keeping them away from any support systems.
Trafficking doesn't know any boundaries. The victim can be male, female, transgendered, anyone. then it happens all over America.
I still see this attitude of it's just immigrants or it's just people in other countries. It happens to U.S. citizens so much more than people are aware.
The natural stakeholders in this issue are certainly law enforcement, legal advocates, social service providers. There's other players involved as well.
It is important to engage the community because victims often don't self-identify. They don't come forward to law enforcement.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Citizens in the community are the eyes and the ears.
It's medical workers, it's educators, it's personnel at homeless shelters.
We can't do this alone. No one has the capacity to provide every single thing that a victim or survivor of human trafficking needs.
There has to be a support system within the community, psychological counseling, shelter, and vocational education so they can reintegrate, become a healthy individual.
There's an intentional effort to get everyone together so we know how to share resources, we know how to work together, and to make sure at the end of the day, a victim becomes a survivor.
So our first artist that we're going to feature tonight, I'm very proud to introduce. He is just a remarkable individual. His name is Theo Wilson. He is a national poet champion. He is a author, published author, and his TED Talk, A Black Man Goes Undercover in the Alt-Right, has over 10 million views. Please welcome to LCHT's We Imagine, Theo Wilson.
There are things that she's just not supposed to know right now. Her hands were meant for ice cream cones, school books, and connection. Not the weight of the gin bottle so thirsty that it swallowed her entire family whole. Or the cracks in her broken home riddled with weaponized words. Or the shadows that crept in through the exit wounds. Her tiny fingers, too small to plug the holes where the love leaked out. And she's not supposed to know the weight of a woman's world. Not yet. Adolescence was supposed to be a blossoming, not a breakdown. So she ran. It's fight or flight, and she's looking for her wings, y'all. Using boys as private jets to the promises that her father never kept, but can't outrun the mascara tears sprinting down her cheekbones, and her cheekbones are drawbridges that suspend a smile that these boys too quickly call sexy. Not knowing that they are strung from sorrow to sorrow. Look close and watch her dreams leap off of them nightly into the river of alcohol that her tongue can't yet legally swim. And she's not supposed to know how to tread vodka or dress like a vixen. But men in shadowy cars make terrible lifeguards. Their stubble on their faces, bathed in infidelity and addiction, cheek to cheek in this hotel room. This dance is far from romantic. More like two destinies in a car wreck and she's crushed beneath the collision. He belongs in prison, but his vices are already a life sentence. The fact that he was once a victim, now buried beneath his privilege. More male than the slave master presidents whose faces stare back from the money on the nightstand. Is it any wonder why her pain is so profitable? We ignore the sins of these men more efficiently than how our complicity gets printed on our currency. Like the sex trade still doesn't bear the features of the founding fathers. Like the brothels of Thailand can't trace the lineage to southern slave plantations. But tonight, she's gonna find out that her legs are possessed by the spirit of Harriet Tubman. See, what she knows is that not running is no longer an option. What she knows is that the unknown lies on the other side of that lock click. What she knows is that her calves are gonna rev like a sports car, and that the street lamp outside that hotel room might be her new North Star. Away from the track where invisible girls vanish in plain sight. Now, our linked arms are gonna form the tracks of her new underground railroad. When she takes off, we had better be her runway. Arms spread like the ballet dancer she once dreamed of becoming. Tonight, we're gonna be her partner in flight like an updraft, like a tailwind as she floats across the finish line. Because what she knows is that someone just might catch her when she leaps for her life. And what I know is that she needs to know that this time, she's right. My name is Theo Wilson, spoken word poet, author, and activist. And I just do art that I hope matters. I like to create things that move people emotionally and hopefully get folks to take action on a specific issue. And me being a new girl dad, there's nothing that resonates with me more right now than the issue of human trafficking. And all I see is just somebody's daughter out there, and I hope that we can do something to change this world for them.
Theo.
Hello. How are you, my
How
friend?
are you? We are hitting the donation wall. We are almost at 31,000.
Amazing.
Theo, that was an original piece that you wrote for this event. I have to shout that out.
Yes, sir. Brand new.
Thank you so much. How was that process? What went into creating a piece specifically for this event?
Well, you know what's interesting is the line, there are things she's not supposed to know right now. When I look at my daughter, there are things that she's not supposed to know. And there's things that she ain't supposed to know for decades from now. And when I've worked in the inner city, and I know that some of the students that I've worked with have been trafficked, and I see innocence taken far too soon. And it just hits different when you're looking at a baby, that, has your eyes, you know what I'm saying? And you're seeing the fact that everybody in this situation was someone's baby. Everybody in this situation was just a little heartbeat that I watched on the ultrasound. And it's just this magic transformation that I've been going through now for the last 18 months that just means a whole lot to me. And so that is what I hope was transmuted onto the page.
It was incredible. Can you talk about the issues that matter to you, and issues that maybe inform some of your creativity or have informed some of your mission as an artist and a writer?
Well, yeah. What informs me a lot is history, and the fact that we're living in historical times right now. We're living in times that people are going to ask us where we stood. And there's a lot of people who like to fancy themselves standing on a certain side of history because now we know what's proven right. Now we know where the tide of history went and who ended up winning the narrative when it came to freedom. But there are some issues before us today. And I would like to think that, in all of our brief times here, my brief time here, that I leave behind a piece of art that shows folks the way in the future, including my own children. So that's what inspires me to do it. We in historical times.
Is there anything, I know this is just the most insane time to feel joy in. Is there anything right now that's making you feel a little bit of joy or keeping you optimistic about moving forward?
Now, beyond that, people hungry for human connection again in a way that they haven't been. Selfish. Like, people begin to look at their own pain and their own sorrow, and they say the way out of this is to contribute beyond myself, no matter what the situation really is, right? And we've been highly acquainted with depression this year. We've been highly acquainted with a sense of sorrow this year. And more people are finding the way to get through that is to be bigger than just your life and its focus on your own condition. And when we do that, I feel that there's just going to be this wave of folks that are going to partake in the world when it reopens in a really beautiful and joyous way. And that's what I find hope in.
Oh, it's an honor to have you, man. It was such a special thing to see your piece.
Thank you.
If there's anything else you want to shout out, or if there's any way that our audience can follow you or see some of your work or participate in your journey, please let us know.
Yeah, I am at just theowilson.net. My book is The Law of Action, and it talks about the bridge between spirituality and manifesting it through direct action in the world. Steps beyond the law of attraction. And my new speakers program for anybody who wants to be a public speaker, the Spitfire Public Speaking Program just launched today. So go ahead and look for that. And I'm at Theo Wilson 31 on Facebook.
Appreciate it. Amazing. Let's check in with our giving wall. Again, if you feel compelled to donate or if you feel compelled to whoa, that impressed me. So we went from $30,000 to $45,000, almost $46,000 in donations to help end human trafficking and give people resources and education, specifically through the Laboratory to Combat Human Trafficking. This is just extraordinary. Extraordinary is a great word to introduce our next artists. You saw them in the beginning. They are a duo, a band called The Reminders. They are just incredible. Please welcome The Reminders.
Yeah, yeah. 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 I came from the land of the mountains where rivers roar and flowers smile. Mother Moon kissed me every night. Now I'm living in a land of is deep in shadow. Oh, I know a lonely, deep and cold. It makes me want to go. Oh, I know a lonely, deep and cold. It makes me want to go. I just wanna go, so I beat my drum till morning comes. Then again until I set the sun. I sing my sacred song as a message on the way to tell my king I'm coming home. Home, home, I'm coming home. Cracks in my heart, crown on my head. What's the point? I'm as good as dead if I got no one close enough to see. And I can't see past the end of my reach. The ones I love that I can't touch, too far away to hear them pray for me. Oh, I know a lonely, deep and cold. It makes me want to go. Oh, I know a lonely, deep and cold that makes me want to go.
I've been gone so long,
Finally on my way.
Countdown, warm welcome,
Celebration day.
I carry wisdom in my scars and bitter marks of what I've been through.
A blackbird rebirth flying back to you.
Salt of the earth, I was caught up in the whirlwind.
Ooh.
Wrestling for heaven, trying not to let the world win.
Miraculous escape, great shape, divine mercy.
Purify my soul, stay faithful.
Oh, so I beat my drum till morning comes. Then again until I set the sun. I sing my sacred song as a message on the way to tell my king I'm coming home. Home, home, I'm coming home. 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 And I have been away for so long. I have been so brave, I've been so strong. I've been all around the world in the time that I've been gone. me come back to the place where I belong.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, guys. Wonderful to have you here. I relate to that song so profoundly. I spent 16 years in New York City and Los Angeles before moving back to Denver, Colorado last year in October. And I am very thankful that I did, given the predicament. It feels really nice to be home during this insane time. Welcome. Can you talk a little bit about the inspiration for the song and coming home and what it meant to you when you were writing it?
Sure. So we travel a lot generally, and we both are kind of people who felt always middling, like not really having a place where we belonged specifically. And then there's a feeling that you get when you finally find that place, even if that place is with somebody like your family or even in Colorado, or you finally feel like you have a place where to come back to, where people are waiting for you, where you can feel joy and where you can feel settled when you get there. And we wrote that song right after coming back from a 6-week tour, and we were wondering how close we were getting to Colorado, and then we started seeing the mountains and we knew we were almost home. And so the inspiration came from, you know, the joy of returning home after traveling for so long and seeing the mountains welcoming you and knowing that you're really close to having that feeling of landing and being settled.
Yeah, I mean, it makes my skin like it. I very much relate to that, and that feeling, Colorado. I really feel at home here, and it's cool to hear that from you guys. And you've been making music for a long time. You've been making music as a duo, and you have children and you have a life, and this is your life. So this is all encompassing. This is everything.
Right.
Can you talk about how that's been affected, or how it has changed, having, you know, built this life on your art for so long and then having to pause so specifically because of this, you know, very unexpected and dramatic global event?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we've learned to do is to balance everything well, you know, between having a family and still creating and performing and doing it all. In this time, it's been a blessing actually to slow down and to be home and to focus on getting better on really internalizing what's happening in the world and sharing that within the family as well.
And how has how has it been? How are you finding joy? I hate to go back to the same question, but I think it's so poignant right now because we're all having to really search for joy in this time.
Absolutely. For us, you know, we were going a lot before all of this stuff happened, before almost being forced to slow down. So being able to slow down and being together and actually enjoying each moment has been definitely the joy that we needed.
I also think that this is a time where a lot of people are having to deal with a loss of control in so many different ways, a loss of control of your environment, a loss of control of your ability to move around, to travel, to connect with people. And one interesting thing that's occurred as you know, an effect of people having a loss of control is increased empathy for people that don't always have control of things, you know. And so you start to look at people and you start to look at how much control you actually did have over how you were living your life, and how much you can now empathize with people that don't have those types of controls. And I feel like people have been more generous with one another. I feel like people have been more kind to one another. I feel like even with all of the, you know, social justice issues that are coming to the forefront, a lot of people are talking a lot about, you know, the heavier emotions, the anger and the misunderstandings that are occurring. But when I've attended things or when I've spoken to people, what I saw was a tremendous amount of empathy and a desire to understand another human being in a very deep way, a very connected way. And I think as we're all sitting here experiencing a shared loss of control, we are finding our way toward one another. Whereas when we had control, we were generally finding our way, you know, away from each other because we were so focused on ourselves. I think we found compassion and mercy and in this time. And I think that we've exercised compassion and mercy in new and interesting ways by understanding what it's like to be alone, what it's like to feel alone, what it's like to not have a place to land, what it's like to not have anybody to talk to. And we have reached toward one another in incredible ways during this time. So even though it's been difficult, even though finding joy may have been difficult, I think understanding that when you have a loss of control, you can still reach for other people and find joy there has been an incredible experience for human beings all together.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't have put it better. I relate to that so intensely. It is such a joy to have you two. And it's Samir and Asia, correct?
Yeah.
And awesome. It was a joy to meet you. It's a joy to speak with you tonight. If there's any way that people can follow you or people can find you or follow your work or be in touch, do you want to sort of let them know?
Sure. And again, thank you for having us, and thank you for being so committed to a cause that's so important. And thank you for having the empathy to reach outside of yourself into your community and hold the hands of people who may feel like they don't have any hands to hold.
Absolutely. It was an honor to be a part of this event and a pleasure to perform a few songs and to share words.
We got another song from you.
Yeah, great. Excited.
You can find all of our stuff online at the Reminders on all social media.
Yeah, at the Reminders on all social media and theremindersmusic.com.
Yes, indeed. So reach
Awesome.
out.
Thank you.
We're around.
We have more of the reminders coming up. But first, let's take a look at our giving wall. And just a reminder that every donation tonight, if you donate through texting live to 41444, it is totally secure. You can also use the Combat Human Trafficking /live, I believe. We are up to $46,131. This is just incredible. Right now, I'd like to highlight a few of the folks that work directly with LCHT and work specifically with human trafficking and hear a few of their thoughts.
My name is Amanda, and I still believe in the dream of ending human trafficking.
Hi, my name is Lauren, and I still believe in the dream of ending human trafficking.
My name is Jen, and I still believe in the dream of ending human trafficking.
My name is Ames, and I still believe in the dream to end human trafficking.
It matters to me because human trafficking cases are some of the worst cases we see, exploiting the most vulnerable members of our community.
It matters to me because I believe everyone should have access to their basic human rights.
It matters to me because my parents' immigrant journey to the U.S. has shown me all the ways in which migrants can be taken advantage of, misled, and mistreated.
Because there are people in the state experiencing human trafficking right now.
It matters to me because, put simply, it is a human rights abuse. The most vulnerable groups of people in our communities, both here at home and across the world, are still being exploited.
No human being should be made to do something against their will due to force, fraud, or coercion, especially by people they trust.
Because human trafficking is a public health issue, and we need people in the community involved at all levels in action to end this crime in Colorado.
Because no person should ever be exploited.
It matters to me both personally as a mother and professionally as a physician assistant.
This matters to me because I've witnessed the long-term effects on the survivors who often get overlooked and the power that education and prevention have on those at risk.
It matters to me because we all know and love someone who's vulnerable to this crime, and because its existence impacts our collective humanity.
It matters to me because with resources and awareness, I believe we can help victims become survivors.
It matters to me because the right to bodily autonomy should not be a radical notion.
My name is Antonio Mendez, and I still believe in the dream of ending human trafficking.
My name is Cindy, and I still believe in the dream of ending human trafficking.
My name is Amanda, and I still believe in the dream of ending human trafficking.
My name is Madison, and I still believe in the dream to end human trafficking.
I want to encourage you to have conversations with your family and friends about what human trafficking really looks like in your city, state, or country.
I want to encourage you to learn more about this specific topic by taking action and raising awareness in your own community, or to make a donation to LCHT to support their
I want you to envision a world where human trafficking no longer exists. Now think about a role that you could play in making that dream become a reality.
I want to encourage you to educate yourself and support anti-trafficking efforts in your community.
I want to encourage you to learn more about how you can help end this form of human exploitation. And you can start that tonight by donating to the great work that LCHT is doing right here in Colorado to end sex and labor trafficking.
I want to encourage you to learn about statewide efforts to end human trafficking. Learn about the Colorado Project and see where you can step in to take action.
I want to encourage you to learn about and look for the red flags of human trafficking. And please give people our hotline number if you believe they might need help.
I want to encourage you to learn more about human trafficking and its impacts on all our communities. Help us by making a donation to support LCHT's anti-trafficking efforts.
I want to encourage you to educate yourself on local efforts to respond to this crime, recognizing that while it is a global issue, it occurs here in our own communities. I would also encourage you to donate to LCHT's anti-trafficking efforts in Colorado.
I want to encourage you to advocate to all your friends and family that they not turn away, that they learn more about this issue, and to donate what you can this year to support LCHT's anti-trafficking efforts.
So last week, LCHT announced its 2020 Spirit of Service Award, which is given to an individual who has demonstrated outstanding volunteer service to anti-trafficking. So congratulations to Colleen Devlin, who is a volunteer backup manager for Colorado's 24/7 human trafficking hotline. And this is a good time to speak about the hotline. The 24/7 hotline is operated by LCHT. It's a key place for human trafficking survivors to connect with resources, for people to report potential human trafficking tips, as well as for service providers in search for referral resources. The hotline can be reached by phone or text, and you'll see those numbers on your screen now. Also, for Colorado viewers, you'll be seeing these numbers a lot in the next couple of years because this hotline was selected to be featured in a statewide public awareness campaign called This is Human Trafficking. Tonight, your generosity is helping to make Colorado's human trafficking hotline stay strong and reach more survivors in 2021. Let's check in again with our donation wall. Let's see how we're doing, and please, LCHT's work is only possible through public support. People like you tonight, whatever gifts you're able to make matters in this important issue. Again, text live to 41444. The next artist I'd like to introduce is another extraordinary, nationally recognized spoken word poet. She has given TED Talks. She is committed to using poetry as a platform to speak up about marginalized groups and a voice for those who has been silenced. Please welcome Ashley Cornelius.
People have often called us Black folks loud, boisterous and thundering, our laugh cackling cackles and exuberant exaltings deemed uncouth in certain spaces. Our voices, cacophony to most ears, jazz to those with a seasoned palate. We turn up to turbulent bass levels. We bump Tupac. We blast Toni Braxton. We crank up Billie Holiday. We provide front row concerts to the entire neighborhood. We do not know how to mourn quietly. We wail and scream in hopes our voices are resurrection enough for our buried. Even our whispers are seismic. There is no distinguishing between inside and outside voices. As caged birds now free, we sing too loud and too often, making up for years of oppressed silence, because being loud means you're alive. It means you have found a way to survive and are celebrating, and we are defying darkness with demonstrative declarations of love. Dr. King once said, "Our lives begin to end the moment we stay silent about the things that matter," which is to say, Black lives matter, which is to say, Black voices matter. When textbooks silence slavery and call it a cultural exchange, we get louder. When innocent Black girls go missing and the news reports a cat stuck in a tree instead of her name, instead of her picture, Instead of an Amber Alert, we get louder. And when innocent Black men are killed and their murderers are called heroes, we get louder. See, we have been loud for centuries. And we will continue to raise our voices against injustice. We will dedicate our harmonies to Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., a man whose voice was powerful, and his impact is still reverberating in our ears today. Do not think this poem is about the volume of our voices. This is about speaking up in a world that is expecting you to stay silent. So, will you join us and be loud? Will you defy silence with your voice?
Ashley, welcome.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Your piece was called Defy Silence, and it kind of challenges us to speak up when we're motivated to stay silent. What's motivating you to speak up now in this sort of troubling time that we're in?
Yeah, I truly believe that the system is working perfectly, right? It's working to oppress the people it's supposed to. And so the system wins when we do nothing, when we say nothing. And so in unprecedented times like these, and where the system is being revealed, it's so important for us to do something different, which means to speak up, to share, and to make sure that all the voices that get silenced for one reason or another get a voice through us, the artist or the activists or the organizations. But it's our duty to share and be a collection of voices against the system.
And how has your journey led you to poetry? What can you speak a little bit about your background and how you became such a profound poet?
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much. So
I
would journal. Thank you. I would journal as a kid, and I would write down all the stuff that happened to me, and then I would read it back like, ooh, my life is rough. And I would rip out my journal. So I have all these old journals that are ripped out, and I realized that's not helpful for me. So I was like, oh, if I write a poem, if I write beauty, if I write power into my experiences, I can read it back. And then it's coded for me. And I can write a poem about a butterfly, but really it's about my trauma. Or I can write a poem about a raccoon, and that's really something else. And so that really led me as a way towards healing and support. And I'm a therapist and largely work with adolescents and supporting staff. And I found that this is such a beautiful way to just express. Like, talking is hard, showing up is hard, but sometimes art is that middle ground. And so poetry has healed me specifically, and I have tried to take that platform as a spoken word artist to share my own experiences, help other people heal, and just share that our voice is extremely powerful and it deserves to be heard.
Beautiful. And can I just ask you the question that I've been asking everyone? In this time of just profound compounding hardship, what are some of the things that are keeping you optimistic and keeping you motivated and giving you a little bit of joy?
Yeah, I think, right, largely this younger generation is just like so phenomenal in the work that's being done. And I always say, in times of like darkness and destruction and death, like creation and art is the antithesis. And so I've just been inspired by the way that people are using art and theater and murals and like so many ways to express, because we are all grieving in one way or another, grieving normalcy, family members, friends, kind of a loss of what's to come. And so there's just deep beauty in the art that I'm seeing, and also that we're coming together, right? There's this sense of community and world empathy that we have never had before. Like, everyone is in this storm, and that is such a beautiful thing to see us coming together and supporting each other.
And before we have one more piece from you, and before I would love for you to introduce it, but before we do, can we give our audience a little way to follow you, and a way to support your work, and a way to connect with you if they feel inspired?
Yes, of course. So you can follow me on Instagram at ACC Poetry Now, as well as at www.poetry719.com. That's the poetry organization I run with my partner, where we provide artistic opportunities, open mics, and workshops. So please follow me and stay engaged.
Awesome. And would you like to introduce our next piece from you called Mother Nature.
Yes. I wrote this piece called Mother Nature for Earth Day, and it really is a depiction of Earth and Gaia and Mother Goddess as a Black woman and the dualities of our deep need to protect Black women, as well as our need to protect Mother Nature. And so these parallels of when Black women speak up, we listen. When Mother Nature speaks up, we listen, and a call to action to really start to care and love our planet and Earth that has given so much to us.
Thank you.
This piece is called Mother Nature. Mother Nature is a Black woman who is tired. If the way you treat Black women is any indication of how we treat this earth, then I am terrified. She, a bruised and battered woman of generational trauma, calls herself survivor. Prides herself on being resilient, how she still grows after centuries of abuse. You say she was asking for it, showing off those precious resources like that. I mean, what were we supposed to do with a forest so thick like that? I mean, we drilled her and took what was ours, and she didn't seem to mind, in fact. You cut down her foliage in the name of progress. You put up houses and call this society while tearing down homes and calling this necessary. You exploit her beauty, sexualize her natural landscape, sell her by the square inch to the highest bidder. But isn't that how you treat most women? Gaslight us, make us feel like we're crazy, say we're making things up, causing Mother Nature to get angry, to warm up, to square up. You call her hot flashes a woman's trouble. Can't you see we're in trouble when she heats up and burns us down? The ice caps are dripping. And all you hear is rap lyrics. She is burning up from your ignorance, and you call this fake news, when all she is asking for is the truth, is the recognition, is the ability for us to come with the same energy to save her that we do to save ourselves. The tornadoes are her pleading, the tsunamis are her cries, the earthquakes are her pounding at her chest, the storms are her yelling for us to listen. And honestly, most of you never grew up with a Black woman, and it shows. Never learned how to honor a Black woman, how to listen to her intently, protect her resources, aid in the growth of her kingdom, rebuild the pieces of herself she has sacrificed for her family. This is how you treat a Black woman, how you treat Mother Nature, Gaia, Mother Goddess. She has been providing for us since the beginning of time. Benevolent offerings, exponential love and care. Did you know? Her skin is dark and rich like the soil that brings forth earth. Her hair, coarse and curly foliage, a collection of ecosystems. The thick underbrush of her afro is shelter and warmth. Her body, as in nature, does not contain straight lines, is overflowing with curves and bends, her hips wide, full of oceans and waves. See how she is swelling and ebbing in every moment. Her eyes, a constellation, guiding us home every single night. Her beauty is our responsibility. We must protect Black women. We must protect Mother Nature. We must listen when she tells us she is tired, she is worn, she is hurting. We owe her reparations. We owe her our survival. We owe her to listen.
Awesome. Craig, we need you there. This is a perfect introduction. We're having a little technical difficulty with our next artist. Craig, we're a little loud. She's actually a muralist and an artist, a social justice-based artist here in Denver. She's just incredible, but I will let the development director, Craig Nason, who is our producer of tonight's show and our live stream, introduce her, and then we're going to show a little piece that we're going to be auctioning off, and all proceeds go to LCHT. So Craig, take it away.
Hey Nick, can you hear me there?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, a bit loud there. Wasn't expecting to be on tonight. It's good to see you, Nick, and thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. It is 2020, and of course there are unexpected things that seem to creep up. So Chelsea Lewinski, who is our muralist, our painter, our artist, who created a piece specifically for tonight, she is out in the world sharing her art. She's in fact creating murals right now in San Juan, Puerto Rico. She was invited down there to do a mural, and so she has been dealing with some technical difficulties on her signal and is not able to come onto the live stream at this moment. But that said, we're thrilled that Chelsea partnered with us. And if you're not familiar with Chelsea's work, and you can check out her Instagram at Chelsea Lewinski. She does a lot of murals here in Denver as well. Often folks from history, historical figures, or living figures tied to particular issues of social change or social justice. And we asked her to create an original piece, not about a particular living person or someone in history, but a little bit more abstract around some concepts related to our work. And she did just that and finished it in the last week. I'm going to share a little bit of her process here in a few minutes, which is very cool to check out on video. And as Nick shared, this piece is going to be available. We're going to auction it off beginning tomorrow. We won't be getting into that tonight, but we will be sending out a link. If you follow our work, if you pre-registered for this event, if you're connected to us on social media, you'll see that tomorrow morning, and it's going to be a 3-day auction, and you can make this piece your own. But as Nick was saying, what a privilege it is to hear, art, to see art and performances in this season. It's also really cool to check out here the next 3 minutes. You're going to just see a time lapse of Chelsea's creation of this piece, and particularly in these moments, it's a very beautiful thing to watch. So. Glad I could join you here from the Southern Command Center, Nick, and hopefully that's all you're gonna hear from me. And I'm gonna push it to Chelsea's video here for everybody to check out. Give me 1 minute.
Again, that piece will be auctioned off tomorrow. We are getting close to the end of our programmed evening tonight. We have one more song from the reminders. But before we do, I'd like to check back in with the donation wall and remind you, even if you've donated before in the past, donating again will help make an extra special gift to ensure their work ends human trafficking, LCHT, and that work stays strong in 2021. Before we end, I'd like to bring on a special video from AJ Alejano Steele and Amanda Finger, the two co-founders of LCHT, just to have some thoughts from the people who started this cause.
Hello, I'm Amanda Finger. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Executive Director of the Laboratory to Combat Human Trafficking. I'm here with my co-founder, AJ Alejano Steele, and we had hoped to be in studio with the artists, but with COVID restrictions, we are joining in from our homes like the rest of you.
And we want to thank everyone who is here with us this evening, those who have already given, and most importantly, all of the amazing local artists sharing their gifts tonight.
We're coming here today to talk about why your support matters. We'll take just a minute to share a bit about what we're learning here together, this moment in history for the issue and our organization, and then we'll shift back to our final performance from the reminders to close out the evening.
And this year has raised significant issues of injustice and really challenged our communities. And our guest artists have spoken to some of those issues. I'm sure so many of you would agree with me that we're weary as we head into this holiday season. We've been in this state of uncertainty for a long stretch now. Everything is unprecedented, and we're seeing folks shift in real time. We have settled into what feels like a state of perpetual uncertainty, and it's really hard. We're seeing this perfect storm of global and national concerns. Black Lives Matters, DACA status, the recent election, and of course, COVID. And we're noting the impossible choice for those working essential jobs, where they have to choose between supporting themselves and their families or risk COVID. In those vulnerable spaces, we've been attentive to violence and exploitation, especially human trafficking.
And that makes me think about how the world has stopped in so many ways this year, but that human trafficking didn't. COVID has made it worse. Around Colorado, around the United States, and internationally, exploitation is a major concern. There's a mix of challenges for both individuals and our communities, including COVID and the health and economic impacts that it has caused. People need more resources than ever before. Many of those resources are challenging to access, and some have shuttered because of the pandemic. There has been a lot of news coverage around stay-at-home type orders and the challenges to people who may be living with their abusers or have nowhere else safe to go. We've seen an increase in calls to our hotline of survivors needing more resources, needing to leave perpetrators or help loved ones to do so. I think overall this pandemic has really shown us personally what vulnerability can look and feel like, and the risks we're willing to take in how we keep safe and keep our families safe.
And I've also been thinking about how we're all talking about so many losses in 2020. And I sit in gratitude as a co-founder, thinking about what has been gained and what can be celebrated. And like so many nonprofits right now, I am proudest of the ways in which our staff has pivoted during COVID and intensifying our focus on vulnerable and underserved communities. As Amanda noted in our hotline operations, our call volume is not only steady, but increasing relative to last year. And we're featured now in the state public awareness campaign, allowing us to reach more survivors and community members. We've also continued to support participants in our leadership development program, because we're doing so virtually. And if there can be a positive element during COVID, one hopeful positive during this time has been our opportunity to reach more communities, more sectors, because of the increase in the number of our virtual trainings.
Your donation matters in this moment. So many vulnerabilities exist now. They're bigger than ever. We operate and are able to have an impact because of public support. Small gifts collectively are the engine of our work in communities. For those of you who are in a position to give, we are asking you to be as generous as you can and support our work into 2021. If you are just joining us now, you should see a donate button on your screen. You can also text the word LIVE to 41444. And I'm going to send it back to you now, Nick.
Thank you, Amanda. We are nearing the end of our night. We have one more song from the reminders. I just want to take a quick moment to thank Theo Wilson, Ashley Cornelius, Chelsea Lewinski, Amanda Finger. Your work is incredible. All the artists that join us and the conversations that they shared and their thoughts on the expansion of empathy in this troubling time, in this challenging time that we're all going through. Your donations mean a lot. LCHT's donation window is open for 2 more weeks. So if you're inspired or if you know someone that might feel compelled to donate, please forward them the website, forward them the text number 41444, text live, and it'll give you a reminder. It'll give you sort of information on how to donate securely and safely. This is an incredible opportunity and an incredible cause that you're supporting, ending human trafficking and exploitation. So without further ado, Asia Black, Big Samir, the reminders, they're incredible. Take us home.
Yes. Come on now. Here we go now.
I can feel it. Tell me, can you feel it?
Yes.
I can feel it. Tell me, can you feel it?
Some people cry out of anger, some because of pain. I cried in my songs for both and pray again. Power and strength, keep it simple and plain. Where I'm from, you gotta be strong to not go insane. Purify your heart, then cleanse your soul. Earth, wind, and fire, said love is pure gold. So I use it in my music for the young and the old. Bundle up, little homie, this world is so cold. Stay covered like modest believers asleep. No suicide girls, beautiful artwork. Yeah, we all the same. Share emotions, walking the earth. But one day we go back to that dirt. So whatever hurt you feel, it's only temporary. Remember, we legendary. From the bottom, deeply rooted with so much glory. To the one, those who take away the spirit and sacrifices got me every day.
Yes, in the middle of the dark, I am shining like a star. I can feel it in my heart, no matter what people say. Yes, in the middle of the dark, I am shining like a star. I can feel it in my heart, no matter what people say.
Even when my patience being tested,
I never give up.
Spirit too strong every day.
I gotta build up.
Energy level and discipline to stay on schedule. Nobody around to help
when it's jobs to juggle.
But quick to want to celebrate
when things get better.
Learn the hard way that most friends are only fair weather talk. More than they walk, slowing down a process. We keep it moving,
non-stop,
maximizing
progress. Every second is a blessing, every blessing is a gift.
Count and appreciate before moving to next shift.
If you have lost your purpose or you're feeling worthless, you're doing everything you can, but there ain't nothing working. You're feeling less than perfect. Success is the furnace. Things from you people try to tell you it ain't worth it. Don't let them take it from you. Stay close to those who love you. No one can do it but you. No matter what people say, in the middle of the dark, I am shining like a star. I can feel it in my heart. Here we go. If
no matter where you are,
hey, if I can't do it, then it can't be done. If hey,
If I can't do it, then it can't be done. Come on. No matter what people say, I'm shining like the stars. I can feel it in my heart. No matter what people say, yes, in the middle of the dark, I am shining like the stars. I can feel it in my heart. No matter what people say, yes, in the